you look at some of the biggest producers in the last 20 years, whether that's the Neptunes, Kanye West, Timbaland, Diplo, Dr. Dre, etc., they all have one thing in common. Not that. They all have a very unique sounds. So today I'm going to show you some tips on how to make your beats sound less generic and really stand out from other producers, as well as some tips on kind of how to develop your own sound as well. And in doing this is going to lead to more artists wanting to get on your beats, more producers wanting to work with you, and overall just more people being interested in your music. So this first tip is super easy and you can add it to your beats immediately, but make sure to watch all of these tips, as if you combine them all, that's when you're going to get like a super big difference in your music. First tip is to add sounds that you might not typically think of to add to a beat. I've got my song Escape that I just dropped, link in the description, feel free to check it out after this video. And this is just at the intro part, is I added like this car engine sound right here. I added some like crowd noise in the background. Right now it might not sound like much, but I'm gonna show you before and after of how big of a difference it can make. And also I added some cool transition sounds. Stuff like that's really gonna grab an artist's attention or a listener's attention, as it's gonna feel more like an experience and not like they're just listening to something, by just adding two sounds plus a little transition right here. And it's really sounds you can just get from your real life, which is cool. Well, yesterday it was raining, so I just pulled out my iPhone and I just recorded like what I was hearing.
Who's the big dog?
Wrong one. You don't have to do this everywhere. You can just add it to like just the intro. All right, so this next tip, and this is really going to help set you apart, as it's going to result in you discovering things that maybe other people don't know or they've just never thought to do, and that is experimenting. So a few cool ways you can experiment is, one, what you can do is once you have, let's say you have your drums in here and whatnot, you're doing like a typical pattern that you normally would do, grab some weird sounds and replace certain drum sounds with these weird sounds. Switch up a snare with like perk sound or a beep sound. Probably don't do that. It probably is gonna not sound very good, but you never know. So, you know, just do it. Other things you can do is if you grab two drum sounds, like I could get this beep sound maybe, play it with a perk and see, okay, how does this sound? Does this sound good? Another thing that I like to do for drums specifically, and I'm gonna get into like melodies and ways you can experiment with them in a second. I'll grab all of my drums, like all of my like snares and perks or whatever. Then I'll go down here, right click, and click route to this track only, allow me to put a bunch of effects on all of those drums at once. And so one fun thing that you can do to kind of get different sounding drums that I end up doing in this song is you can add reverb to your drums. Another thing you can do is just add some distortion. This will make them sound like a little bit crunchier. It can really help them stand out in the mix. Another thing you can do for like your melodies and stuff specifically is just kind of play around with effects. Distortion's great, reverb's great, but what I really like to do and I like to play with, and I feel like I found like the coolest sounds with, is playing with automation. And so basically what automation is kind of like turning on or off an effect while like your beat's kind of playing. In this beat specifically, I used automation here to cut out all the highs and make it literally sound like you're hearing the song like a different room essentially. And yep, I stopped it right before the drop. Just gonna have to, you know, go listen to it on your own after this video though. We're not done yet. So a lot of really good tips for you. Third and final tip, and honestly, I probably should have started with this one because this is the most important one, without a doubt. So pay close attention to this one. And that is actually learning. Whenever you learn a new thing in producing, it's like adding another tool to your toolbox. Now you might not need that tool in every beat that you make, but it's going to allow you the option to think of different ways to experiment, think of different ways to be more unique, and you'll be able to combine more different things together. And on top top of that, it's gonna make artists trust you more. They're gonna know that when they work with you, that you're gonna be the best person to kind of help them create your guys' vision together. If they want like a certain like change up in the beat, you're gonna know how to do it. If they want it to sound like it's, you know, really spacey and spacious, you're gonna know how to do it. And so there's a few things that I do personally that I feel like it really helps me learn and kind of create my own sound and be a little bit more unique than other producers. First thing is looking at different genres. I watch like a lot of different like EDM tutorials and stuff like that. Second thing that you're gonna want to learn if you want to, you know, be unique and kind of like stand out and make your beats less generic is work on your weaknesses. Like you can only get around them so much, and at some point it's gonna be like a hindrance in you being more creative and just getting better in general. And then last but not least, please go check out my new song. I really appreciate it. Link in the description. Peace.